Right then, second channel, back again, 2 days in a row. Who would have thought it? We're here to do winners and losers. Still don't have a better name for it. Still feel like I'm copying Football Daily. But until I get a better name for it, we're just going to have to roll with it. It's hardly unique, is it, the winners and the losers? I mean, what the fuck else am I going to say? You know, anyway, let's talk about this weekend in football. We're going to look all over Europe. We're going to look at who had a good weekend, who had a bad weekend. The same format as what we've done for the inaugural episode back a couple of weeks ago. It has been an exciting weekend, the first weekend back. The first weekend back after international football, the first weekend back after the closing of the transfer window. There was debuts, there was returns, there was everything. It was a very interesting weekend, so we've certainly got a lot to dive into, but let's not waste too much time. Let's just get into it. Let's go and look at the winners and losers from this past weekend. Also, very quickly, if you are new to the second channel, please make sure to hit that big red subscribe button. It is much appreciated. Let's try and grow the channel as much as we can as we start this new journey talking about everything else that isn't Celtic. Even though I love Celtic, love you Celtic. This weekend also, very quickly, it's a bit different. We're not doing free and free. I couldn't actually find three particularly bad losers this weekend. Arsenal won, so I kind of put them in. But one thing was I found 4 people that deserve to be in the winners category for me. So we've had to change it up and go with 4 winners and 2 losers this week. So let's just go and get started and we'll talk about who they are. Starting with, well, let's go to winners first. We always start with a winner. Let's just start at Manchester United, shall we? I mean, now they are what I think are the favourites to win the Premier League title. The addition of Cristiano Ronaldo, a Cristiano Ronaldo who is fit and firing and clearly is still one of the best players in the world. You know, there's a conversation about who's the greatest and all that. Let's just put that aside for a moment. I'm not really caring. But what United have got now is a player who is a serial winner, a goal scorer, and a serious threat to every single team in the league. His arrival back to the Premier League at the weekend was thunderous, to say the least. A brace on his return game. First goal, yeah, tap in, whatever you like, but the second goal shows how much he's still a top player, and at his age, you know, it doesn't matter. 36 years old to Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't matter, really doesn't. This guy's going to be playing till he's 40, maybe 45 with the way he is. He's still got that burst of pace. You've seen it for the second goal into the Stretford end. He's just magical. He really is. And Manchester United winning the game 4-1 as well just puts them into the first winners category of the weekend. They are in a great position right now. They have assembled a squad which is looked at as wow. In my eyes, I just look at it and go, wow. You know, you've got winners all over the park. You've got Rafa Varane in there at the back now. You've got Ronaldo leading the line up front. In between, you've got Pogba, Fernandes. You've got Big Maguire. You've got Shaw, who's right now playing magnificently too. That is a really, really strong side, and rightfully looked at as Premier League favourites, I think, right now. First loser of the weekend, and that feels really bad calling him a loser, because the situation doesn't make him a loser. It just means that it's kind of, this feels harsh, right? And it's more for the club than him that I'm saying they're the losers. But Harvey Elliott, I'm putting him in, and it's not his fault. A terrible challenge from Strujic of Leeds leaves him with a broken ankle, and suddenly they are another midfielder down for the next 6-7 months. I think the early reports are suggesting it's going to be that long. I think he was only 30 seconds away from being subbed off the park as well, which makes it all the more sort of tough to take for Liverpool and their fans. But they're now in a situation where that thin midfield, that thin depth in the midfield for Liverpool is now even thinner with Harvey Elliott being out. And it's ultimately another big injury for a guy who was coming on to a real good game. That's the thing about Harvey Elliott. Yes, I think they could have done better in the transfer window to have signed a player who starts over Harvey Elliott as they still develop Harvey Elliott. But he was coming on to a right good game. And to see him now out with a long-term injury, and an injury that's going to probably cost him quite a bit of development time, is a real losing situation for Liverpool and him. It really is, and I don't mean to say he's a loser because they've lost a game or whatever. No, I mean it's a real losing scenario to lose a player like that who's been playing well, and someone in an area where they couldn't really afford to lose anybody else. They didn't really go out and sign a replacement for Gini Wijnaldum in my eyes. And now they've lost another midfielder through injury. You know, these problems are going to pile up for Liverpool, and if they do, they're going to be in the same situation as last year where they can't challenge for a league title. So, yeah, a real bad situation. It's a shame to see a young guy get injured like that, you know, through poor tackles or whatnot. But, you know, whatever. They'll need to pick up and they'll have to move on from it. the second winner, and I've got to give him a shout out. I've got to do it. I mean, technically, I should just be leaving him out of this, but I can't, as this special one has to get a shout in his 1000th game as Roma manager, a 91st minute goal from El Shaarawy to win the game at the Stadio Olimpico. Oh, absolutely magnificent. Brilliant. And you just love to see Mourinho running down the touchline, classic Mourinho fashion, celebrating his wee heart out. And a game which is obviously massive for him. His 1000th game as manager. I think he said in the interview he didn't want to admit it, but he was shit scared of losing. And he didn't just win the game, but he won it in dramatic fashion. And that's, a lot of people were in a tweet that I put out last night saying joy is seeing Mourinho run down the touchline celebrating. A lot of people commenting about that, and talking about how, it's embarrassing celebrating like that in that sort of game. But it's his 1000th game as manager. It's a great way to win, a massive way to win. And yeah, if I was him, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Roma as well, and just in the talking point there, not only is it a win for Mourinho, but it also keeps a perfect start to the season for them. 3 wins from 3. Mourinho seems to be getting his mojo back. They've been entertaining too. I think they're sitting there with a positive 7 goal difference in the league table. And yeah, they're loving life under Mourinho. They've recruited well as well. Right now they're a side who I really want to go and see win the Serie A this season, and they could if they just keep up playing the way they are. Yes, 90th minute goals might suggest they haven't been good enough, but they've been doing well. They've been performing well in games. They've been entertaining, and yeah, Mourinho is a special one is back. The other loser, the final loser for today, is staying within the Serie A. We're staying in Italy, and we're going to Juventus. Oh my God, what is happening there? What is happening at Juventus? They are having a honking start to the season. They're now 3 games in, winless. They sit, I think, something like 16th in the league table after losing. And look, losing to Napoli at the weekend isn't the most embarrassing of results. Napoli are a really good side. I think they're sitting joint top alongside Roma and maybe AC Milan. They are having a decent start, Napoli. They're a good team, and Juventus were ultimately away from home. But to go the opening 3 games of the season without a single win, and see themselves in the position they are in a right state. They really, and I don't get it. Of course, they've got Allegri back in charge now. Yes, they lost Ronaldo, but they lost to Empoli. Games they should be winning. I really just don't understand what's going wrong at Juventus right now. It's maybe the change is becoming too much of all what has been the last few years. I went manager to manager. I don't know what it is, but it has been a real embarrassing start to the season for Juventus. And let's go into the final part of the episode, the last 2 winners of the episode. I'm going to merge them into one because you will notice a connection between the two. But let's talk about Odsonne Edouard and let's talk about Moussa Dembele. 2 guys who, what did I say for years on YouTube, on my main channel, for the last 5 years, what have I said? They're 2 guys that will go to the very, very top. They are world-class players in the future. And we're starting to see the development of these world-class players. Now, I know one's playing at Crystal Palace, one's playing at Lyon. They're not quite at that world-class level yet. But they're doing everything I said they would do when they moved on from Celtic Football Club, that they would go on and show how good they are. Odsonne Edouard, 6 minutes he plays for Crystal Palace on his debut, scores 2 goals, scores within the quickest goal in Premier League debut history. I think he scored after being in the park for about 15 seconds. Then he scores another one later on as well. Unbelievable. Now, a lot of people, we'll talk about the Celtic aspect of it maybe on the podcast or something. A lot of people saying, it just shows how much he down tools at Celtic. I don't care right now. I'm wanting to see him do well. He started life so well in a big game against Spurs as well. He wasn't playing at Brighton or a Brentford or anything like that. He was playing Tottenham Hotspur, who are just as bad, but he was playing Tottenham Hotspur. He gets those 2 goals. It does really, really well. Odsonne Edouard, love him. And Dembele back at Lyon. A real winner for me, Moussa Dembele, because he came back from that loan spell to Atletico Madrid where he was part of the La Liga winning side. He's went back to Lyon. Lyon have lost their star man in Memphis Depay, and Moussa Dembele is now beginning to fill the boots of that star player, the guy who's going to stand up, be accountable, and be the main man of Lyon in Ligue 1 this season. 5 goals already, I think it is, in the Ligue 1. Just let me check that. Let me double check. 4 goals, in Ligue 1 so far this season. His goal against Strasbourg at the weekend was unbelievably good. So good. And it's just everything that I said about Moussa Dembele for so long. If you're new here and you're just watching my second channel, on the off chance of finding a YouTuber, Moussa Dembele's probably been my favourite footballer of the last 5 or so years. to see him doing well with Leon now is magical. He was doing well before he left them as well. He just happened to be loaned out. And, you know, he's going to be the star man, I think, for them now. And they really want to stake a claim to try and get into that France team, that national side. He had a really good record at under 21s level. If he can have a good record in Ligue 1 this season, there's no reason why he can't be looked at as a selection option for Didier Deschamps. Look, both of them are going on to big, big things. We were so lucky to have them at Celtic, and it's so class to see them doing well. And that's it. That'll do it. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. The winners, 4 winners, 2 losers. Man United, Jose Mourinho, Moussa Dembele, Odsonne Edouard up against Harvey Elliott and Juventus. What a weekend. I will look forward to it next week. See you all next time.